Kind of lonely, huh? This is the famous Daytona Speedway, only 2 weeks before the 1963 500. And out here at the track, there's only us members of the fraternity. The guys who drive and nurse these Detroit hunks of iron, all with the same idea, trying to coax and work over their equipment so it'll get to that winner's circle. Me? I'm a racing mechanic who's traveled the circuit for, well, too many years to remember. NASCAR, USAC, IMCAR events. Brother, you name it, I've been there. Why? Well, I can't answer exactly. It's in our blood, I guess, as simple as that. And that goes for all of us. And it looks like the who's who of racing has turned out for the 500 this year. There's Joe Weatherly and Freddie Lorenzen, Troy Ruttman, guys like A.J. Foyt, all real good boys. But it's teamwork that wins races, and the mechanic is the other half of the Siamese twins of the racetrack. Take Dan Gurney with his chief mechanic John Holman of Holman and Moody, famed race modifiers. Dan and John are sizing up a Ford chassis that's been modified for the 500 in line with NASCAR specs. And here's Ralph Moody, chief mechanic for Fred Lorenzen. Another top man in the business, Ray Nichols. Cotton Owens, Smokey Unick, and Bud Moore, guys who've made their names as racing mechanics on tracks across the country. The mechanic's work begins in the race shop back home, tearing down, going over every inch of the engine from valve lifters to splash pan, in the search for perfection plus. That also means choice of the right components, including spark plugs with a kind of ceramic and pressure seal that can stand up to tremendous internal pressures. It's all part of winning performance and durability, along with the mechanic's know-how in engine assembly and tune-up. Always bearing in mind, a pair of eagle eyes will be on you to see that NASCAR rules are respected. Here, for example, Glenn Wood submits his engine head for a cubic displacement measurement. The test is simple. A piece of glass seals the cylinder head cavity. Then liquid from a graduate flows in. Believe me, it had better accept no more than the right amount, or, brother, you've had it. Will it go over? I've been in the same spot, and I know how Glenn feels. Okay, Glenn, you've made it. But that's only the beginning of NASCAR's inspection. Here, a carburetor sealed after meeting specs. And here, road clearance checked. Oh, say, there's Bill Strop, chief mechanic of the Merck team with Fran Hernandez. Right now, their crew's about to stage a pit rehearsal, another mighty important job of the mechanic. Any driver will tell you how many races he's won or lost in the pits. Roger Ward, last year's Indianapolis winner, lends a hand. 30 seconds for a right side tire change and refuel jobs, only par for the course. Oh, you can fry your hands on those tires, but for Pete's sake, don't panic. If you do, you're dead. Get him in and out fast, boys, and pray. And when you're playing for keeps, he don't come back too soon. Here's Tiny Lund getting set for a practice run. Tiny's a story every racing buff knows. The guy who saved Marvin Panch's life by lifting a burning car off him. A superhuman effort. Anyway, as a reward, Marv, from his hospital bed, gave Tiny a chance to drive his car in the 500. Right now, Tiny's out to check the performance of his entry. Looks like Glenn Wood isn't too happy. You know, without the push of competition, it's tough for a driver to give his best. They say racing's half the driver, half the equipment, and the mechanic. Now, right now, one or the other's not putting out. Which is it? Well, there's one sure way to find out. Over at the dynamometer, built by Autolite right here at the Daytona track. Service offered to everybody as a way of diagnosing trouble when a car's not putting out top performance. The drive shaft of Tiny's car is hooked up and ready to roll. Racing's Dr. Kildare, alias Bruce Thomas, head of Autolite's dynamometer team, goes to work. But instead of scalpel, needle, and sutures, Bruce will be measuring foot-pounds of torque to be converted to horsepower as the dynamometer simulates a car running full power on the track. Sure enough, something's wrong. And what is it, Doc? Carburation? Ignition? Bruce knows where to look. In no time at all, the distributor's been removed to be checked inside the Autolite facility. The machine will turn the distributor at any given RPM, just like in the engine, telling the degree of dwell. The build-up set of points are blocked off. And now the brake set's adjusted. Ah, that's more like it. Meanwhile, another seed of trouble's been detected. Diagnosis: the wrong heat range for the plugs. Prescription: a new set of plugs with the right heat range. One of Autolite's complete line of plugs to match engine requirements of any make of car. Now, let's see what happens. Dynamometer is setting up resistance and load factors equal to 168 per, and the engine is eating it up. Almost don't need gauges. It smiles like that. Now look at Tiny tear up the track. You know, racing's more than just trying to reach that winner's circle. Because sure enough, over the years, racing's left its mark on your car and mine. Every major automotive development in the past half-century owes something to lessons learned from professional auto racing. So whether or not it percolates into your pretty little head, honey, me and my buddies hold your IOU for your rear view mirror, your padded dashboard, recessed steering wheel, safety glass, bucket seats and seat belts, four-wheel brakes, wider tires, all improvements that came out of racing. And along with them came new high-compression engines for driving under some conditions mighty close to the strain a car undergoes in high-speed racing. Well, here's one. He doesn't know it, but he's racing. Stops and starts in city traffic demand as much from a spark plug as driving at 150 per. Slow driving's the other side of the coin. Incomplete combustion and dirt making power-tipped and self-cleaning plugs a must. And sometimes a fast pickup can get you out of a sticky spot. So here's the text of my little sermon, honey. Whether for speed on the track or for safety in your car, the spark plug has to stand up to this extreme cylinder pressure. Spark plugs not for one make of car, but one for all. Better spark plugs, the best kind of plugs. And that's another way of saying Autolite. Bye, honey. Wish I could collect on that IOU. Finally, it's race day for the Daytona 500. Thousands and thousands of fans have swarmed in from all over the country. Come to see, as the newspaper fellas say, a spectacle without rival, along with all the pageantry that goes with it. Everything from a bunch of cuties to 77 trombones and a big brass band. Also present and accounted for, the gendarmerie on a policeman's holiday. There's Autolite's racerettes. Cute, huh? And of course, the usual clown act, but the crowds eat it up. Plenty of celebrities on hand. Here's Florida's Miss Smile. And Miss Florida herself. Racing's own Tom McCahill. And Mr. Benson Ford, Vice President of the Ford Motor Company. Bill France, President of NASCAR and the Daytona Speedway. Jack French, General Manager of Autolite. Well, the cars are lined up and ready to go. But man's best laid plans sometimes go astray, and racing's no exception. For as race time approached, along came an uninvited guest. Yep, you guessed it, a man-sized gale blowing in from the ocean, bringing buckets of rain and sending some 75,000 fans scooting for shelter. Rain, rain, go away. But given time, and a true race fan will wait till doomsday if need be, the weather will let up, bringing between the clouds a peak of sunshine. In fact, 2 or 3. The crowd's back, and with the decision to start the race after a 2-hour delay, the cars themselves will dry the track. For safety's sake, the first 10 laps are run under the caution light held at 90 miles per. On the 11th lap, with the track dry and safe, the wraps are taken off, and they're away. Hey, Buster, wake up. They're off and running. Junior Johnson doesn't waste any time getting out in front. Right behind him is Paul Goldsmith, followed by Fred Lorenzen and Fireball Roberts, number 22 in a Pontiac. In the home stretch, it's Johnson and Goldsmith. Boy, are they burning up the track. Speeds over 166 per. On the backstretch, Goldsmith's drafting on Johnson's car. Drafton is riding the guy's tail as close as 6 inches. Actually, both cars will go faster, but the first car's doing most of the work and therefore using more gas and saving gas for the hitchhiker. Here comes Lorenzen, number 28. Keep an eye on him. There's a smoker right in front of the stands. Lap after lap, guys back in the pack jockey for position. Uh-oh, Goldsmith's out on the 41st lap with a bad oil leak. It's A.J. Foyt in the lead with Fireball Roberts riding his windscreen. On the backstretch, Dick Petty in a 63 Plymouth battles it out with Dan Gurney driving a 63 Ford. Hey, watch out! Johnny Rutherford, number 13 in a Chevy, spins on the backstretch. The lead keeps changing hands as they roar past the stands. In fact, the lead will keep on changing as car after car goes into the pits. Here comes Fireball Roberts into the pits. Parnelli Jones, number 15 in a 63 Merc, he needs gas and oil. Meanwhile, G.C. Spencer in a 63 Chevy takes the lead. His car's number 03. In front of the stand, Spencer and Foyt put on a great show for the lead. And there they go on the turn, while right behind them come Dan Gurney and Fred Lorenzen. Now Spencer's given up the lead as he's forced into the pits. Oh, he's got company. Darrell Derringer in his 63 Merc. All through the race, the pit crews are kept busy. Here's A.J. Foyt getting gas. Rex White, 63 Chevy, Steven. Wow, look at that skid. It's Jim McGurk in a 62 Pontiac. It's Lorenzen and Bobby Johns having a private Donnybrook for the lead. Now 200 miles of the race are over at an average speed of over 140 per. Uh-oh, Dick Good, number 81, spins into the guardrail. Parnelli Jones misses him by a whisker. Oh, the crowd's getting a real thrill. A hot engine and climbing the carburetor has started a fire. It's spread to the clothes of his chief mechanic, Bobby's old man. The race is past the 300-mile mark now, with Ned Jarrett and Fred Lorenzen passing the lead back and forth. On the 157th lap, Lorenzen is forced into the pits. It's Tiny Lund now, showing his heels to the pack. Back to the wars goes Lorenzen. He's got to get his speed back. It's so late in the day, it's almost dark in the pits as Tiny comes in. And sure enough, Lorenzen's back in front with Ned Jarrett on his tail. Out of the pits comes Tiny Lund, as you can guess his intentions. Meanwhile, in the sunset, Stacy and Frank battle each other on the backstretch. Lund's running second now with Ned Jarrett trailing. But Fireball Roberts won't be beat, not by a long shot. But it's still Lorenzen first and Lund second. Lorenzen's crew wants him in the pits. You better listen to him, Fred, even if there's only 7 laps to go. A 9-second pit stop for gas, and Lorenzen's out again. Lund's hanging on to that lead with Jarrett drafted on. Time's crucial now.
will Lorenzen be able to get back his lead? Jarrett, on the 197th lap, he needs gas. Now, Tiny, it's up to your gas tank. Lorenzen's hot after him, though, but it's a three-cornered race because Jarrett is back again. Lorenzen's pit crew have their fingers crossed, but it's Tiny with Lorenzen right behind. There's the white flag. Will Tiny's gas hold out? His pit crew's with him all the way. But Lorenzen and Jarrett haven't given up. Yes, sir, a duel right to the finish. And it's Tiny Lund, the long shot. Winner over Fred Lorenzen with Ned Jarrett third, all three driving 63 Fords. As Tiny, now out of gas, has to coast into the winner's circle. He took a big chance, but one less pit stop made the difference. Good job, Tiny. You deserved it. And I know Marvin Panch was rooting you all the way home. There's the usual ceremonies for a really bushed but happy winner. And to share their well-earned victory, here's Tiny's pit crew and the very proud Wood brothers. And speaking of sharing and victory, let's not forget you know who. In fact, 8 out of the first 10 cars were equipped with Autolite Sparkplugs.